diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time for the Rundown with Rob Sanders.
Well, we're waiting.
Welcome into the Rundown on a Monday here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. My name is Rob Sanders. I've been out of the box, ladies and gentlemen. Took a couple of days off last week. I tell you what, it feels great to get back into studio. It's so funny because, I say this all the time, but I am someone that gets to do what they wanted to do when they were a kid. I get to talk about sports for a living, and it's one of the greatest things ever. And that's why I get frustrated when you hear people and they're doing something and they seem like they're tired of it. But like I was kind of upset, taking some time off. And then I'm so jacked to be back in here with you today, giving you some stuff. I've got all kinds of, here's my stack of stuff. I still I'm old school. I could save all this to my Get Pocket site, and have it all digitally in front of me. But I like having my audio and all that right in front of me on paper. So, with that, we will go today into several different things. The South Carolina football team had their first scrimmage from over the weekend. We'll have some stuff from that. In addition to that, we've got some comments from some players and some comments from Kevin Harris. Something about the tandem that he and Marshawn Lloyd could potentially be for South Carolina. So we'll have those for you. We're also going to talk about Frank Martin and his contract extension. Alabama A&M's coach was talking some smack to Deion Sanders before the weekend was there, before their weekend game this weekend. I thought was funny. Trevor Lawrence has one flaw, according to one NFL analyst. We'll tell you what that flaw is. Heckling at Founders Park. We'll get into that. Man. Following that on Twitter over the weekend was a battle of the stupid, to be honest with you. Gamecocks pick up a commitment. One former Gamecock has found a new home. So we got some more basketball notes for you and several other little things here. But I got to mention this story before we get out of here, before we get started. I'm not a guy that likes to talk politics on this show, but this isn't really political. This is just stupid. This has nothing to do with politics. It's just stupid. One of the trending topics on Twitter now is that everyone wants to cancel Rambo. Yes, we all remember John Rambo, played by Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. Growing up as a kid, Rambo was the absolute best. He's running around and he's fighting for the country, and he was the lone wolf and, rescuing guys from Vietnam. What in the blue hell is wrong with Rambo? Well, apparently, the world is trying to cancel Rambo. Rambo, the guy that is like, you would think go over great. He's obviously someone that had PTSD from his time in the war. So you think that right now people would be embracing Rambo. And they would be talking about, Rambo is the most awesome thing ever. And it's something we can look back upon and say, you know what? During the 80s and 90s, this was awesome. And of course, he's had some other movies that have come out since then. The last one, Rambo Final Blood, I think it was called, was a little over the top. I mean, it was just basically Rambo kills everyone, which is kind of the vibe that all of the movies had. But I guess it was just a little more graphic than what I was used to with the other Rambos. But apparently, Sylvester Stallone has decided to join Mar-a-Lago, which is President Trump's golf club. And since he joined the golf club, now the world wants to cancel Sylvester Stallone and Rambo. Get out of here with that nonsense. We have far bigger things to worry about in our world than, hey, let's sit around on Twitter and we're going to cancel this guy because he did X, Y, and Z. Are you really that stupid? I mean, seriously. Are we that dumb that we're going to cancel Rambo? Brock Online says if they cancel Rocky, he's going to be angry. Yeah. Maybe. I think a lot of the people that are doing this are far too young, and I sound like I'm the old man yelling at the clouds in the sky. But I'm not. I'm not like this old guy. We're sitting here and now we're talking about, okay, we're going to cancel Rambo. Once they figure out that he was Rocky too, are they going to cancel Rocky because he decided to become a member at Mar-a-Lago or Largo or whatever it is that they call? I don't even know what they call the golf course. That shows you how much I care about it. And to be completely honest with you, does that matter at all about anything that was put out in the past? As far as just because you play golf somewhere doesn't mean that you subscribe to whatever ideas are there. But let's just go ahead and we'll just cancel Rambo. That was one of the hashtags that was trending earlier, cancel Rambo. People have lost their minds. I honestly, I got nothing for you on that. And I don't normally talk politics and issues on the show. And I don't like to think that this is politics and issues. I just like to think of this is just showing that people are absolutely stupid. There's going to be a cancel Rob thing out there before too long. Because Rob backs Rambo. I'll back Rambo. I'm fine with that. We'll take your calls on the canceling of Rambo at 803-978-1832. If you don't know who Rambo is, please don't call me. I'm just saying. If you're going to be like, I don't know who Rambo, I can't take those calls today. Google it beforehand, okay? And better yet, if you don't know who it is, go and watch the movies. You can watch them. I think they're on, I don't know, one of those things we subscribe to. Amazon Prime, something. You can find the first Rambo and then go from there. All right. Canceling Rambo. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, now that I've got that out of my system, I had to share that with you today. 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. We've got stuff to go over from this weekend. I want to start with the South Carolina basketball team. You know, they come to a new contract extension. And basically what it does, according to several reports, is it adds 2 years to his contract from putting him under contract through 2025. Okay. So he doesn't get a raise. But he does get an extension for 2 years. Now, the reality is you have to go with that because of recruiting and everything else. You can't have a guy that's in here on a 1-year contract. That's not going to work. But they did adjust his buyout. So basically what happens with that is that they would owe Martin no more than $3 million, lowered from the $3.3 million buyout under his current agreement. So basically, it's setting it up where they're putting Frank Martin in a position where he has to pretty much bet on himself. And you know what? I don't really have a problem with that because I think Coach Martin's a good coach. And if you don't believe that he's a good coach, why don't you go talk to the best coach that's at South Carolina? Bar none. That would be Dawn Staley, who has a proven winner there, and she supports Frank Martin. She knows a little bit. I think we can agree that she may know a little bit about coaching. I mean, this is the same woman that was coaching the Temple basketball team and playing at the same time in the WNBA. So she kind of knows a little bit about hoops. Not that we should have to go to the women's hoops coach to question the validity of Frank Martin, where the one banner that's hanging in that arena that is a Final Four team, you know, Frank Martin coached that team. The guys that were on that team, they all came to his defense. Gamecock Twitter was obsessed with, hey, let's get Frank Martin fired. I'm not buying that at all. I'm really not. If you go back to the 2019 season, they were 18-13, 10-8 in the SEC, considered a bubble team, likely headed for the NIT, but they were playing pretty good basketball. There was an opportunity for them to go into the SEC tournament and possibly do some stuff there. But that season was cut short by the COVID. So COVID is something that the C word is something, you know, up at Ohio State, they never mention Michigan there. They never mention M's or anything else. the COVID word should be something that is not ever uttered in Gamecock basketball terms ever. Frank Martin got COVID twice, and I've said that so many times on the show, but yeah. A couple other notes here on the basketball team. One of them being Trey Hannibal announces his new school, and here's the interesting thing. He's going to go to Murray State and play for Coach Matt McMahon. And the other interesting part about that is that the Gamecocks will get former Murray State guard Chico Carter Jr. As we get you squared away here, your Monday. So thanks to the folks that are joining us on Facebook. You can follow us there. And, of course, you can follow us on the Fox Sports Radio Facebook page. It's right there for you. So Fox Sports Radio 1400. Shout out to John and Brock and Jimmy and all those guys over there for checking out the show. Apparently, they're not upset that with what I talked about with Rambo possibly being canceled. What a disaster that is. We also got to talk about the Braves from last night. What a mess. What a mess, man. The Braves last night, they were looking to win their 5th straight game. And what exactly happened with that? Well, the Braves ended up with losing in the the 9th inning as the Phillies third baseman slides in, doesn't touch the plate, and he's able to secure that run there. Braves fans not happy at all. I don't blame them. But here's where it's going to get interesting. You know, sometimes that one game in, what are we in, April right now? You know, by the end of next month, no one will care. And it'll be like, all right, that was a bad play. I mean, the major league players were tweeting about it. You know, why do we have the replay? Brian Snicker's not happy about it. But a controversial play there where the throw to the plate and the Phillies player doesn't even touch the bag, but is called safe even after the replay. So what a mess that is. Here's where that's going to hurt. Is when you get down to the end of the season and you look at the very end of the season and the Braves are, let's say they're 2 games out, 2 games up, whatever. They have the potential to be another game up on the Phillies, but no, that game was technically, now you don't know how things would have shaken out, but technically that game was stolen from them. What a mess that is. Absolute mess. All right, 803-978-1832. We'll take calls on that. In addition to I've got some stuff from South Carolina. We're going to talk about the Gamecock football team today. They had some interesting stuff to say. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about heckling later on, too, at Founders Park. How that's turned into something silly this weekend. Man, you can't heckle now. We're canceling Rambo. We might as well just pack it up, guys. What are we doing? There's no heckling, and you can't. You're blocking Rambo. Are we just supposed to sit there with a sign that just says safe and out? Is that what it's supposed to be? Just a poster board now? I don't know. But we'll get into that momentarily. If you want to talk about Frank Martin and his extension, we didn't get a chance to talk about that on Thursday and Friday because I was not here. But we would love to talk with you about that as well at 803-978-1832. Of course, the new folks that are joining the team, including Chico Carter Jr. from Murray State and the young man from Washington, Eric Stevenson. He is a transfer pro, as I said. This is his third transfer. When we come back, I've got audio today from some of the Gamecocks, including, let's see here, Aaron Sterling, some of his comments today. Also, Dominic Hill on the defensive backs and Kevin Harris, some comments from a couple days ago about being a potential 1-2 punch with Marshawn Lloyd. So we'll get into that when we come back this afternoon. Don't forget our show. You can follow it on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Over the weekend, I was tweeting out stuff about the Masters and how my Masters picks were hot dog water. Oof. What John Rahm decided not to play until like Saturday, or until Sunday. Did enough to make the cut, but other than that, he was not very good. All right, quick break and we come back. We'll have more for you here on the Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Be right back, guys. Let me go get my other note. Some of the stuff they're saying in practice is kind of interesting, or after practice anyway. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to join the program and talk about the canceling of John Rambo, which apparently that's a thing now, 803-978-1832. We're also talking about Frank Martin was like on the verge of being canceled, if you believe Gamecock Twitter, but the athletic department says, we're going to keep our coach here, the guy that took us to a Final Four. We're going to give him an opportunity to right the ship. If you want to talk about that. But right now, I've got some comments from some Gamecock players. Had Zoom meetings today with some of these folks. Defensive end Aaron Sterling was part of those Zoom meetings today. And they asked him about the changes that Coach White, the defensive coordinator, has made. And he said, he said this.
The difference is, I would say, I guess our coaches. I really don't know how to answer that question because, I don't really have a difference yet. Because they've been here for 3 months, so I was gonna give it like a whole year, things like that. But it's good vibes around here. I can say that.
Yeah, that the vibes are important. But he did say this too, and this was one of the more interesting things about the way the Gamecocks are going to play defense this fall.
as far as from early in my years, this defense, what we should expect is it's going to be attacking defense. It's going to be very attacking. That's really much it. Really, just going to be very attacking. As far as what I'm taking from right now, I'm just taking everything in and moving forward like that.
So with that, we talked a little bit with him, and of course he plays defensive end. How about the defensive backs? Now the Gamecocks are going to go with a 4-2-5 defense, putting that extra defensive back out there. And yes, they're going to be a more attacking defense according to Aaron Sterling there. But what about the DBs? Dominic Hill talked a little bit about the defensive backs and what's expected of them this season.
I learned a lot. Like last year I didn't play a lot, so that really taught me like seeing JC and Izzy really like how they go about business and just learning from last year and this year how we are young, so we kind of bind in and pulling each other along. Like when somebody messes up, we get on each other, like just stand on one another really, and that was really part of the main difference of last year and this year. And we just got to keep moving forward because, like I said, we young in the back end really, like here and now, a couple people experience. So we just got to keep building off of them and, working together as a unit.
There you go. There's Dominic Hill, one of the defensive backs for South Carolina from the Zoom meeting earlier today. And, with the Gamecocks going to that 4-2-5, it's going to be somebody's going to have to make plays at defensive back. I mean, that's kind of the way that things are going to work there. So, you kind of like the idea of Ingumbare and, of course, Sterling and Pickens and Birch. Those guys up front, that's all right. I mean, that really is. The secondary, though, is going to be the big thing for South Carolina, but just breathing new life into that defense, which, there was talent on the defense last year. Let's make sure we put that out there. J.C. Horn's probably going to be a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. You don't become a top 20 pick in the NFL draft if you don't have some talent. So if it's not an issue of the talent, then it's an issue of maybe not having the talent in the right spots, or you can just do what a lot of my Gamecock friends think and just blame it on Will Muschamp, which is fine. He got paid a lot of money, and with that, you can shoulder all the blame that you want. And I assure you, I don't think Will Muschamp cares, to be completely honest. So I think it was something to do with the coaching, to be completely honest with you. When you look at some of the guys that were so highly touted coming out of high school, and then you look at J.C. Horn and where he's going to end up. I mean, the guy's going to be, I've seen him projected as high as number 10 in the draft. Anywhere from 10 to 20. I haven't seen him projected any lower than that in whatever NFL draft that you look at. So, yeah, there's that. Now, we talk about the secondary and how, there are question marks there. I think that even the most ardent Gamecock fan will tell you, the secondary, okay. It's going to be something we have to work on. We got those 5 guys that are going to be out there. And having depth there is going to be huge too. Yeah, you need 5, but you're going to have to roll guys in and out. So I think that's one of the more fascinating things that's going to happen with South Carolina this year is going into that 4-2-5. That's going to be interesting. And I wonder if they're going to be kind of a bend but don't break type defense. Sort of like the way that they were under Coach Ellis Johnson. Like, you may eat them up a little bit in between the 20s, but once you get to the 20, that's it. It's kind of lights out there. When you have all those guys in coverage, that makes it a lot harder for the quarterbacks. And it's going to come down to, can guys like Ricky Sandage and Aaron Sterling and Jordan Birch and those guys, can they stop the run, especially once you get into the red zone, and force teams to have to throw with all those defensive backs on the field? That's going to be the big thing, I think, for South Carolina. All right, but let's talk about one of the areas of South Carolina that in April you could be confident about, and that is with the running backs. Kevin Harris was asked a little bit about the possibility of the combination of himself and Marshawn Lloyd and what he thought that they could become this season.
Yes, of course. We were talking about that right before the spring started and stuff. So I mean, he told y'all, so yeah, we got that Thunder and Lightning. Yes, we got to prove it to people, but like we already think that we the best 1-2 punch in the country, in the SEC basically. So
Now imagine having a complimentary back to Kevin Harris from last year. Now I know that people are going to say, Kevin Harris got a lot of yards against Vanderbilt, and stop it. The young man is a great running back. You don't rush for that many yards against a he didn't play against Alabama's preseason schedule where they schedule Alabama A&M and Texas State. No. He played against the full conference schedule and ended up leading the SEC. And then of course Marshawn Lloyd comes into the mix, who was highly touted. And in addition to that, is a guy that maybe not necessarily a change of pace type back, but Kevin Harris wants to knock you into next month. And Marshawn Lloyd was the kind of guy that once he hits that second level, he can just go. So, yeah, when you step back and you look at it from that perspective, they have the potential to be a very dominating set there at running back. Now, of course, you got to have people to block for them, and I know that. But Kevin Harris, with last year's offensive line, was able to be the SEC's leading rusher, and that's something that I'm sure that Coach Satterfield and the guys that are down there, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to run the ball. And all this talk about quarterback with Luke Doty and guys like that, you can make Luke Doty or Jason Brown or whoever it is that starts for quarterback for South Carolina. You can make them look really, really good if they throw the ball, I don't know, 17 to 20 times a game, just enough to keep that defense honest, where they're not pinning their ears back and trying to kill the running back every play. And if I'm running the offense, that's kind of what I'm going to key on. Then you have the confidence that comes with that at quarterback. Hey, you know what? I threw 20 passes, but I completed 15 of them. And I finished with 180 yards, and we won the game. That's pretty good. I think that's what you want if you are South Carolina heading into this season as you build your first block here with Shane Beamer. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Brock says, I just pray that we go to a bowl game. A little more confidence there, Brock. Need some more confidence, sir. They're going to cancel you on Gamecock Twitter for not being optimistic. They can cancel Rambo. They can cancel you too. 803-978-1832. Take a quick break when we come back. We'll talk about heckling at Founders Park and the stuff that happened this weekend with that. What a mess. It seems like I come with just messes. I don't do that when I'm show prepping, man. I don't look at things and be like, what's the biggest mess that we can have? I don't do that. It's just for some reason that's the stuff that keeps flooding my feed. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Deion Sanders getting his lumps at Jackson State. We'll have that for you in just a little bit here on the Rundown. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Thank you to you folks for downloading the podcast. Wherever you get your favorite podcast, look it up there. It's the Rundown with Rob Sanders. Very simple, easy to find. Spreaker, iHeartRadio app. It's all over the place. So if you want to listen wherever, be sure to download the podcast. It'll be up by 5 o'clock. More of the Rundown in just a moment. Right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I don't think I'm far off with what I'm saying about the Gamecock football team. Just saying. Once we get COVID settled down, man, I want to bring some of you guys in studio, man. For you folks that live in Columbia, if you want to come in studio with us, let me know. You guys come hang out for a day. I don't care. Come and hang out on a Friday. Got to deal with my intern that's in here. For those that watch the Rob and Kale show on Sunday nights, I get so jacked up for that show because that's probably my favorite show that I do. Nothing against this show. I just love doing a show with Jackpot over there. But I get so jacked up that I can't go to sleep. It's like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm like looking around. It's like, and I got to get up to take my son to school at like 6, right? Nah, I just stay up all night. Who cares? He has not made a statement there for Jimmy. Nope, not yet, sir. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. You know, it was an interesting weekend for the South Carolina baseball team. They won the series over Mizzou, and Mizzou, not a very good baseball team, did come in and take one game, but winning the series is what's important. So, hey, for that, there you go, South Carolina. Winning, what was your third straight SEC series, something like that, 4 straight? Can't remember. I've got it in my other set of notes that I forgot to bring in the studio with me. But here's the big thing from this weekend. The Gamecocks, they lost that first game, and, you know, a lot of that had to do with the weather. Hour and a half rain delay. That's the kind of thing that can throw any team off, all right? But, and it's baseball. And if you watch that game, you could see what Mizzou did. And shout out to their coach for doing this. He threw in one pitcher that threw one way and then came back later on and threw out another pitcher that was completely different. And it got the Gamecock bats guessing. Now, when you're Mizzou and you're a team that's near the bottom of the league, that's the kind of thing you have to do to eke out some games. So shout out to their coach for doing that. But I tweeted my buddies at the Mazodcast, and we were talking a minute about that, and they're like, yeah, this Mizzou team is not very good. But South Carolina was able to take 2 of the last 3, kind of dominating their way through the last couple of games and looking like the team that's the top of the SEC heap here. But it's interesting that I'm thinking Frank Martin, but Ray Tanner had to issue a statement on Twitter saying he had discussions with his staff and promising that no fans would be removed for appropriate heckling, while also asking them to avoid profanity. The athletic director for the University of South Carolina had to tweet out, hey, we're not going to throw out people that are heckling. Oh, my goodness. Is it really that silly? Coach Kingston said, obviously everybody wants a home field advantage and as many fans as they'll let in here. I hope that many come because our guys feed off of it. There's no question about it. And they've all seen the videos from a while ago when this place is what it was, packed full pre-pandemic. They've seen how emotional and great it can get and how exciting it is. And they love that. And hopefully we keep playing well and hopefully they'll keep letting more fans in because it could be a really fun ride. Let me translate this into language that I don't think that Coach Kingston wants out there. This is his coded message for, you know, when we have a full stadium, this place is awesome. And right now we can't have that full stadium because of the pandemic. Now I can't say, hey, we should open up like Ole Miss or, you know, the state of Mississippi where everything's wide open and, you know, they're packed in the stands and everything else. No. He can't say that. But I think in the back of his head, he's probably feeling that. I think everybody wants to get back to a point where they're completely with, all right, we've got everything that we need here. Let's get out there and do our thing. I've never understood the whole thing of especially now where people getting the vaccine and everything else. I'm not one. I think COVID is an absolutely real thing. It's something that has affected me, affected my family. But I'm at the point now where it's like, if people are upset about COVID, if you're really bothered by it, don't go to the games. Now, when you go to the games, wear your face mask until we get to a point where we're at herd immunity. Wear your face mask. Make sure you've got plenty of stuff out there for hand sanitizing and everything else. But if COVID-19 affects you, don't go. Don't go. And I think that's kind of where we are there. But everything has to be so PC now. And you can't say, like, people are going to be upset for me, I'm sure, with the way that I said that. I'm not saying COVID's not real. I'm just saying that if you want to go to a South Carolina game or Atlanta Braves game, or pick your game, okay? If you have the opportunity to go and you want to go, you should be able to go. I don't get where there's silliness with all that. That PA Scratcher guy says on YouTube, the whole cancel thing is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. So someone has a different opinion or belief, big freaking deal. He's right. Of course, talking about Rambo being canceled. Just because I think differently than you do doesn't mean that we can't be friends. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think like you do, but we can still be cool with each other. I don't see where that's like the biggest deal ever. I also don't understand the whole stuff with Ray Tanner having to tweet out about, we encourage hecklers, but don't use profanity. Most of the time, if someone is heckling and they're using profane terms, generally the crowd will fix it. Meaning that, and I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Big Billy bad guy here, but if I'm taking my daughters to a baseball game and some guy 3 seats from us is dropping F-bombs and everything else, I'm going to go up to him and tell him, hey, dude, let's show a little bit of respect for, my kids that are here and the other kids that are here too. Generally, that will correct it. Now, I know you're going to say, what happens if he decides to hit you? We don't do that. The world is non-confrontational right now. Nobody wants to be that guy that confronts anyone as far as on a physical nature. But generally, if you talk to somebody, they'll generally, okay, I'm sorry. Give people a chance to correct themselves. Now, if I say something to him and he doesn't do what I think is, enough to kind of curb that, then fine. You can go to the fine folks that are at Founders Park and tell them, look, this guy dropped 6 F-bombs in a matter of 25 seconds. I don't want to have my kids here with that. And they'll go down there and they'll politely remove him out of the stadium. But for the athletic director of the University of South Carolina to have to put something out on Twitter, basically trying to tell people how to heckle. I mean, Ray Tanner should have a heckling school. He's a world-class baseball coach. He's seen great hecklers from all over the place. Why don't we have Ray Tanner's heckling school? Yes. Come down and learn how to heckle from Ray Tanner. That's basically what the vibe that I get from this. How does that happen? Where the athletic director says, yeah, we're not going to throw you out. Just don't be profane when you heckle. Come on, man. Silly. Brock says, imagine having an opinion in 2021. Yeah. You know what, though? But the heckling is part of the game. Hearing the hecklers is great. That brings that home field advantage to, I'm using Founders Park, but it's every park. It's every park. Let's go out to the phones. 803-978-1832. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, Rob? I just had a few things to say about the whole Ray Tanner thing.
Yeah, buddy. What you got for the program?
I think mainly what's happening is just the outcry on social media with all the students, because he was mainly kicking out students on the third base line. I think he was caving to that. I don't think it was more so just teaching them how to heckle, because I think if he had it his way, they wouldn't have been let back in. But I think he basically caved under the pressure of all the fans. But I'll hang up and listen to what you guys say about that.
Well, appreciate that. And if it is the students that were kicked out, if they were saying profane things, if you're dropping F-bombs all the time, I have no doubts about if I go and approach one of the young people that are down at the University of South Carolina and I tell them, hey, you're saying these things and that's not exactly cool, generally they'll, okay. I just, it's just frustrating when you see stuff like that. And the fact that Ray Tanner had to say something, that, my friends, is also a mess. But you're right. And I kind of agree with you on that too. If it were just the students, students are going to do rowdy things, but that's part of it. That's part of it. I mean, you look at, I remember the Cameron Crazies. That's the easiest one. If you go to a Duke game and you see some of the stuff that they do, generally it's not profane stuff, or at least when I've went there, it's not. But they all get together and they raise absolute hell. And that's why it's hard to play there. Even when Duke's not a very good team, it's hard to play there. And I think that everybody wants that kind of home field advantage. All right, we'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. Deion Sanders taking some lumps his first year as head coach of Jackson State. What one coach said, kind of funny. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Oh, by the way, for folks that have been following the show that have, we talked a little bit about Deshaun Watson last night. I may get into this tomorrow, but I want to share this with you guys. You online folks are important, so you get the little extra stuff that I'm going to try to work on for tomorrow. Apparently, they're going to take all 22 of these cases and bring them into one case. And if they do that, it'll be a class action case where Deshaun Watson could pay them all off in one fell swoop. Pay them all off. And you know what? If I'm his attorney, with the black eye that he's gotten, I think I'd tell him to settle. I don't care what he's done. I think I'd tell him to settle. I really would. Because a year from now, the only people that are going to remember that when he goes out and tears up the NFL again are going to be the Gamecock fans that are calling him a sexual predator online, even though he hasn't been convicted yet. So, yeah, I'm working on that. Tom, I'll have to check that out, brother. Thank you for that. I haven't heard about that. I'll have to look that up. I did not know that Williams-Brice led the nation in ejections. I do know that when I've been down there for games at Williams-Brice, it's a very vibrant atmosphere, but I wouldn't want to sit near the students. And you know what? It's kind of the same way at Clemson. I wouldn't want to sit with the students at Clemson either. I'd rather sit with the old fogies in the upper seats, to be honest with you. But that's just me. Maybe I'm too old. I don't know. I agree with that, Tom, and I think that's why he's going to have to pay. And I think that getting all of them together at one point, I think eventually he'll settle. I really do. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But trust me, they'll all settle out of court. It's all about money. I mean, it's not about, I'm not saying it's a money grab. I'm just saying that if he puts up enough, I think that this will go away. I don't think they're going to take him to trial. What's up, John? Welcome to the program, sir. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. A couple of comments. Tom says JC Horn has a YouTube channel. Excellent video he did on the Pro Day. I will check that out. We were talking about Deshaun Watson during the break there. Deshaun Watson, of course, there were some things that came out with that case. We could talk about it for a minute right now. But the big thing with that is that they're going to basically almost consolidate the charges. Basically, they'll have 22 charges down to one, basically, and make it a class action lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. So with that, if it's all down to, hey, this one case, and there are no criminal charges against him that that the Houston Police Department can come up with, then I think that if I'm Watson's attorney, you may want to try to come to some sort of settlement, regardless of what happened, and then use it as a lesson learned, in my opinion. Because the beating he's taking right now in the court of public opinion is insane. It's insane. I'm not defending Watson. I'm just saying he hasn't been convicted, but people are calling him a sexual predator, and he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. When you listen to the video or the audio of the one lady that came out last Thursday, though, I mean, she made you feel real. And what we get from Deshaun Watson is statements from his attorney. So with that, and not being able to hear Deshaun Watson, people are going to have their own public opinion of him. Tom says they don't want money now. They want blood. Yeah, you may be right about that. The Houston Texans, by the way, removed Deshaun Watson from their big promo video. You know, every year they put out a video with, this is why you should buy tickets to the Houston Texans this year. No mention of Deshaun Watson at all. So there's talk about, he may get on the commissioner's list where he can't play at all. Or he may, someone tweeted out something that they may cut him. I doubt that happens. But we shall definitely see. That's one of the just strangest stories in sports right now is the stuff with Deshaun Watson. So we'll follow along with that as we go. And, of course, you're always welcome to tweet at me about that at Rob Sounds Good. You can also give us a call here at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I got to talk for a second here about, Coach Deion Sanders, or Coach Prime, as he's called, which is kind of funny. He's, of course, coaching Jackson State, and he got all these guys to come play for him. And it was like a big thing with everybody wants to play for Coach Prime. And, of course, it may take some time to revitalize the program at Jackson State. They started out the season 3-0, and it looks like, whoa, all right, Jackson State's doing what they need to do. So they've lost, though, 3 straight, including a shootout to Alabama A&M this weekend. Their coach beforehand, though, had some interesting comments about Coach Prime and what they were going to do.
I don't have to give a rah-rah speech this week, Coach Sanders said he wants some dogs. Well, I'm about to turn the Bulldogs a little something.
Coach Connell Mayer from Alabama A&M as they beat up on Deion Sanders and Jackson State. So, yeah, that's interesting. Deion Sanders also tweeted out today, Eddie George is taking over. I think it's at, I got to remember he's taking over another HBCU. So that was some interesting stuff there. So there you go with that. I've enjoyed watching some of the FBS games, whatever it is, the league that the Southern Conference is in. There you go. I think that moving those seasons to the spring would be absolutely great for them. Why not do that? You get nothing but the best as far as TV coverage and everything else. And it may take a year for it to take off, but think about it this way. You're going to have the opportunity to have that full coverage and everything else. I think that's outstanding. And right now, when we're kind of in the middle of a void here, as far as, the basketball tournament just wrapped up. And let's be honest, college baseball is a regional sport. A lot of teams don't really play once you go up into the land of the Midwest and everything else. I mean, they play, but it's not as serious as it is down here. having the ability where you could have, I think of teams like Youngstown State and teams that are on that level where they're to be able to play in the spring. I think that's something that from COVID, we could take that and use that as a positive. Hey, we played this spring and now these games mean more. I think you'll end up with people that have their fall teams and their spring teams. Like you could be a Gamecock fan in the fall, but then in the spring, you could be someone that follows the Citadel or Wofford or whoever. So yeah, there's that. We didn't really talk about the Masters, but Jimmy with a comment here. He says he enjoyed Wake Forest alum Will Zalatoris' performance in Augusta. Yeah, he played well. Hideki Matsuyama ended up winning the whole thing. And what a humble guy he seems to be. Just played steady golf. So congratulations to him for taking home the green jacket. The first player from the land of the rising sun to take home a major. So congratulations to him. Not very many people picked him, but he played really well. Tom says it just means more, Rob. You're right. Oh, Tom. I think Tom's got one of those. He's like Tom may be one of those guys that has like the SEC lower back tattoo. I believe that with a lot of the SEC fans. You've got that little lower back tattoo with the SEC logo. And in theory, you want to run around and wear your smoking jacket with the Alabama Auburn folks. That's how, when people are like, oh, I like the SEC or I like this SEC or whatever. Ugh. Tom also says Tiger won in all of our hearts. Yeah, Tiger Woods, not having him at the tournament is a big deal. And I don't know what his career is going to hold, if he's going to be able to come back or not with the injuries that he suffered. But golf needs him. I mean, the whole Tiger on the prowl thing, it's definitely real. It really is. All right, don't forget, after I'm finished here today, we have my buddy, of course, Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk, the czar of Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes. Don't forget the Swan, as he will take you home this afternoon from 4 to 6 on the vast Clemson Sports Talk radio network, all over the place. Be sure to check out Lawton Swan. I will be putting up my show on the podcast at about 5 o'clock today. You can also follow me on Twitter. We've got NFL guests coming on this week. Will Pelagic from WFNZ in Charlotte. Could the Panthers still draft a quarterback at number 8? What? We'll talk with Will about that tomorrow, right here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in, man. We'll appreciate y'all. We'll talk to y'all later on. Thanks so much.